All right. I believe we are finally live. Sorry for the delay. I'm still trying to get used to this StreamYard stuff and actually going live. So I want to apologize for our late start, but we're here. Well, I should say I'm here. Adrian's taking care of the little ones. So we should be good to go. Can everybody hear me? See me? Lord Dapper. Okay, 107. Robert Glazier. Mr. JRC's in the house. Wedging Big. Exploring with Eden Valley Drones. USA Drone Flyer. Robert Glazer. Drone Shots. Mickey MCH. Good. Hopefully Adrian will pop in here pretty soon, or maybe Mr. Al Diaz will pop in. But if not, you guys are stuck with me for at least an hour or so. So we're going to keep on moving forward until I run out of things to talk about. But I appreciate any comments from the chat. I'm good. So like I say, I'm not going to get right into the subject matter for tonight. Wait for a few more folks to dive in because there is a lot to talk about. So I know for me, I flew yesterday at one of my scheduled flights, monthly flights, construction site in High Grove, California. And then today I did a project for the city down at our San Bernardino Valley College. They did a Christmas toy giveaway. So I've been, I actually took the M30T out today and I did a complete video using, I didn't use the Mavic 2 Pro as just more like a scout part of the mission. I wanted to see because my takeoff point wasn't ideal. I was kind of like in a back parking lot, had two buildings that was blocking my view a little bit. So I wanted to make sure I was able to keep decent visual line of sight and connection. So I put the Mavic 2 Pro up initially. I did a quick orbit around the location where we were filming at. And then I brought it back home and put the M30T up. So I'll probably have that video up either later tonight or probably you guys will probably see it first thing in the morning over on the East Coast or over in Europe. So yeah, so I actually wanted to see how I could use the M30T doing cinematic work, and it is challenging. Especially when you're trying to use the zoom lens on that drone. It makes the flying part a little more frustrating, you have to be a little more gentle on the sticks per se, because when you have that camera zoomed in, the slightest movement, it just gets magnified. It's almost like you think you're just barely moving along, and then all of a sudden the camera almost like it jerks one direction or another. So yeah, it was quite challenging, and going from there. So yeah, I did get some very nice shots. Did some groundwork with my GoPros to get that effect, and able to use a zoom camera in an interesting take. Like I said, it was a toy giveaway today, so I was able to zoom in from across the street down into the where they were handing out the toys under a tinted area. And I would say I was about almost 400 feet up in the air. But to zoom in from across the street, I was at least, I would say, 700 feet away from across the street from the campus. and you'll be amazed of the detail what I was able to pick up. I was able to pick up an actual toy. They had signs for age groups. You'll be able to see that sign marking the age group clear as day. So it was quite impressive to be able to use that drone in that fashion. But it is something definitely cinematic as far as movement. It's touch and go, but to be able to hold it in place and fixate on one particular subject or item, it does. It is great. That like I said, I zoomed in to a point where I was, I think, about 20 times zoom, and at that point, right about 20 is where you go from optical into the digital side. So yeah, it's quite impressive. I always like to stay in the optical side. That way, you get the very best clear picture using the zoom. And then, like I said, after that, it starts to get a kind of like a hodgepodge mix of digital and optical together, all the way up to 200. But like I say, being that high up, once you get past 20, it starts to, you're looking for small detailed stuff. Like I say, you're looking at writing on something that can fit probably in the both of your hands. It becomes unrecognizable. If it was I would say a better or larger subject, yeah, I could zoom in up to 40 times, 50 times, probably up to 100 times if it's a larger type subject. But you're talking about something that you would hold in the palm of your hands. 20 times is about as good as you're going to get. So it wasn't too bad. Like I say, it's just being able to move the drone very smoothly. And it's a big difference because you put it in the wide camera view, it moves just like a Mavic 2, very smooth. But when you're trying to fly through the zoom lens, that's when you start asking yourself, do you know how to fly a drone? Because the movement seems so jerky and everything else. But it was a quite good experience. And like I say, when I go out and fly, like I said, I mainly fly I'm mission orientated, so I'm either getting paid for, or I'm doing like today. This is basically for the Park and Recs department for the city. So I kind of like donate my services in a way. I mean, they pay me a decent amount of money every year, but this is not something extra I got paid for. So I always treat it as a training mission. So I'm always out. I'm always looking to get better. Hey, good evening, Mr. Paul Murray. Glad to see you in. AZ Drone, Steven Drones. All right. Tex Arts Drone Guy. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you hit the like button, everybody. Jump into the room. I appreciate that, and I'm sure Adrian will much appreciate it. Speaking of Adrian, he and I have been talking of late, and we're looking at really pushing this show to another level starting hopefully January, February next year, where we're going to come across on multiple platforms, not just here on YouTube, but also we want to try to hit Facebook platform also simultaneously, I should say, and really try to be an informational show on drones. Like I say, there's a lot of information coming out there, and this next year is going to be a real turning point for drone community overall, which will affect all of us, both recreational, hobbyists, as the term is most likely used, and for us Part 107s. So it's going to be a lot of information that we're going to put out that's going to be related to being able to fly, continue to fly, and how drones are going to react. And that brings us into our first subject for the night, is basically talking about the drone ID, drone remote ID. I should say the proper term for it is remote ID. And there is a significant camp of folks out there who in the belief that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And when I say that, yeah, people say, well, I never update my drone. Well, this is going to be the catch-22 for a lot of people who are in that mindset, that to stay within the FAA guidelines it's going to be a no choice matter. You're going to have to update your drone, put the new firmware on there, so at least the software on your drone will be compatible with remote ID. Not all drones, not even all DJI drones, are remote ID compatible within the drone itself. But what DJI has been doing for the last 4 months, they have been sending out firmware updates to at least allow the software, the DJI Go 4 app, the Fly app, the Pilot app, whatever you may be using of late to fly your drones. I believe each series of drones does have the new remote ID information in the 3 dot area. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, the 3 dot area, which is over at the top right screen of your controller or your phone, brings down the menu, and it should be right to the very top menu, and I'll ask you for RID. It'll be like your RID information. And like I say, the guys who have not done this is not the regular name your drone information. This is about remote ID information. We have yet to be told what needs to be put in that information. So anything anybody says at this point, unless it's somebody who's got the inside track from the FAA, as far as we know, we're just guessing. It could be your existing registration number, or it could be a number that you'll get from the manufacturer, whoever you buy your remote ID module with. I'd like to welcome Mr. Adrian Mateo Drones. How you do, sir?
What's up, Brother Dre?
Not bad at all.
How's everybody doing in the chat? Sorry that I was late a little bit. I was actually putting my little one to sleep. And when that little one wants to play and not do what the hell she's supposed to be doing, Lord have mercy. Yeah, but I think I finally got that boat sunk. So
yeah, we were just starting to get into the remote ID part of the requirements that are going to happen coming into 2023. We know it's a requirement starting in I think I want to say September, and then I think next December will be the final date at that point. But like I said, my words tonight are basically about those who are reluctant to do any firmware updates on your drones. And I'm just saying that, the old term of you're going to get drug along kicking and screaming, because, people have already been experiencing odd behavior with their drones already with this new firmware update. Not that it's a problem. I would say, yeah, it is a problem, because remote ID is not activated yet officially. But with these new firmware updates, there's been some odd behavior, especially with the Avata and the new Mavic 3 has had some odd behavior as far as being able to even start up. I believe there's been some reports out there that state that people have not been able to start up the Avata unless it's been attached to a phone. For me personally, that's never been an issue, because I always have my phone on as a hotspot when I fly. And that's primarily because I use it for my COA and if I need to use Lance. So having a phone available for as a hotspot is part of my pre-flight. I do it all the time. And also, if you're a type of person like me who likes to use air data, this is the best way to make sure your information goes from your drone to your air data account, is that you have a hotspot ready to go. So when you sync your flight information at the end of your flights, it gets sent right to air data right away. So when you get home, or how you check your air data account, if you have one, your information should be there right away. So yeah, well, that's just me. So I know a lot of folks don't like using or don't use a hotspot or their phone as a hotspot. So that is something that you may have to start to learn to do, or make it part of your pre-flight checklist, is to go into your settings of your phone and make it a hotspot.
Well, to kind of piggyback on what you said, Dre, I've actually have been experiencing issues with my Mavic 3 and the Smart the DJI RC Pro telling me remote ID error. And again, also Aldi has experienced the same issue as well, and I have, where if you don't have your remote connected to your Wi-Fi or hotspot on your phone, you will not be able to arm the motors. Now, it doesn't happen every single time, but it has happened to me enough to pretty much make a little short about it. And also, as far as the Avada as well, I know quite a few folks, and I've actually seen it myself because I actually flew one. A couple of my buddies have it, and they had the same issue. And they keep telling me, asking me like I'm some kind of fucking DJI tech support. I'm not tech support. I'm just letting you know what the heck is going on. You're gonna have to take it up with DJI and find out what the heck is going on. That's why I made that little short about the Avada and what's not. But like you also said, as much as a lot of us bicker saying that we do not want to update our drone, I'm pretty sure that DJI is gonna make it to where you won't have any other choice but to update the drone and get it to the latest firmware update, even though you will lose whatever it is we have now, and then you're just gonna have to stick with it because either you like it or not. And if you don't like the topics that we're talking about on the show, hey, we can't help it but to talk about it because not enough people talking about it. Remote ID is
Yeah.
coming, and it's coming, and it's gonna stay. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat that Captain Joe America says he hasn't had any issues with his Mavic 3 and RC Pro. And like I said, it's been a hit and miss situation. Some people
Yeah,
have had
not
it,
everybody
and
having
some
the
people
issue.
right. But I think it's going to start becoming more common as we get closer to this remote ID date kicking off.
Hey,
So
Dre, did you by any chance reply to Barkley 107 drones?
no, Barkley, I'm sorry, I don't own the Mavic 3 Enterprise yet. I kind of had to wait on that with some other issues, and I said, when I look at it, it'll be a tax write-off for the following year. So, like I said, I spent my money this year on the M30T and a couple other Phantoms to shore up my inventory. So I had to put the Mavic 3 on the shelf. Like I said, I want to get it. Believe me, I want to get it. My name, and it's kind of funny because DJI tells you to put your name on the list, and they have never contacted me. Everybody else is selling them, buying them, whatever. I'm still on their list.
But
And I'm
see, the
like,
thing is, Aldias have both, but he actually
mm-hmm.
contacted DroneWorks here in Florida. So
Right.
you
Like I
own.
said, yeah, like I said, you can buy them here from dealers and stuff, and you probably can get it at Best Buy with no problem. I put my name on the list
Actually,
for
Best Buy does
DJI.
not sell those, Dre. Best Buy
Was
is not
that
selling the Enterprise at all. They're not.
okay? Yeah, I never bought one out of a Best Buy anyway. I've always bought mine from dealers or straight from DJI. So, like I said, I don't know if they're just giving all the dealers a fair shake and letting them be the ones to get it out for the first couple of months or whatever. So, I don't know. But like I say, you got to make business decisions based upon other information you have going on. Like I said, I spent quite a bit of money this year on drones, and I need to wait till next year to make my next big purchase at that point. And that,
Okay, well,
if I need to, because right now I need to find out from my clients, our future clients, is the output. I said that the finished product that a Mavic 3 Enterprise is putting out, are they able to use it with their systems? So I mean, me having one is one thing, but like I learned from a lot of my different clients, if I would have went out and bought the M300, I would have to take an extra step to provide a finished product for them because the M300 with I think it's the P1 lens on it, puts out such a large file for each picture. They require you to reduce the size of each picture before you send to them because it's too large. The actual file for each picture is too large. So I'm thinking that some of these sites I've had have over 500 pictures. So I'm gonna be sitting there trying to reduce the size of 500 pictures before I even upload it to my clients. So that's why I said there's other things I need to look at and see if this M3 Enterprise is going to be something that's going to be a nice, easy replacement for my Phantoms. You know, I don't really need to have issues. You know, having to take an extra step. That's just more time on me that I'm not getting paid for. Because the client's not going to say, well, you know, this is what we suggest, and we didn't tell you to sell them Phantoms that you've been working with for the last 3-4 years. So that's what I tell folks. Sometimes you got to find out from your clients what best works with them, and that's why I have a variety of drones. Like I say, you know, I guess I have the Maverick 2 Pros, the Phantom 4s, this M30T. I got the Enterprise Advance. So I'm able to use whatever drones that I need for whatever project that I have.
Yeah. So
Go from
let
there.
me go. I know that there's quite a few people here in the crowd, and I know that I haven't said
Yeah, got some
anything
new
to
folks.
everybody. So I'm sure that Dre already went ahead and said hi to you guys, but not from me. So give me a minute. I'm actually going through the chat trying to see if there's any questions or anything to answer. USA Drone Flyer, Captain Joe America. Um, I'm glad that you're not having any issues. Me personally, it happens to me just about every time that I turn the drone on and off, where it gives me that remote ID error, and then it stays. Sometimes it stays on for about 10 seconds, 10 seconds to maybe about 20, 30 seconds sometimes. Sometimes it comes through and it goes away right away. So again, not every time it actually gives me an issue to where I'm not able to power the motors, but 9 times out of 10, every time it gives me that issue, I'm not able to power my motors unless I have it on the connected to the Wi-Fi or the hotspot. And the thing is that my service is not good everywhere. On my Wi-Fi at the house, a lot of you guys know how shitty it is. However, I'm still able to fly it. You know, it kind of, you know what I mean? The Wi-Fi is kind of glitchy, but as long as I'm able to upload the firmware and I get
Mm-hmm.
service, it won't let me fly or what's not. Now, I do
Yeah.
have a question from Carter DY. What's my input on the Mavic 3, man? If you have the money to buy the Mavic 3, get it. It is an amazing drone. I do have the Mavic 3. I don't have the Cine, the Classic, or the Enterprise. I just have the DJI Mavic 3.
Yeah.
The Classic is a lot cheaper. It's a step down from the Mavic 3. It's a lot cheaper. And the Cine is a hell of expensive, more than the Mavic 3. The
Yeah.
Enterprise and the other one, the Enterprise Thermal, way more expensive. So it all depends on what you want to do. So maybe do a little bit of research. Carter DY, but yes, it is an amazing drone. Now, let me go ahead and welcome off the top quite a few folks here. Let me start from the bottom of the chat. We have Mr. Robert Glazier, Mr. Gary, Brent Ariels, Lake Pilot. Hey, Barkley, how you doing, brother? 107 Drones. Paul Wedgenbay, thank you for being here. Mr. Brad Alston, River City RVA, thank you for popping in. Leonard, JSK Enterprise, Drone Mafia Production. I don't think you've been here before. If you haven't, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Richard Bragg, thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the love and support. Who else am I missing?
Did you get was it Drone Mafia Productions?
Yeah, Drone Mafia Production. I did want to hit and say hi. We have let me see here. Anybody
Lake
else?
Pilot?
Oh, Steven Drones, thank you for popping in. Who did you say? Oh, David AZ Drone Dude.
Yeah, Lake
Cassian
Pilot.
Brad, thank you for
You got
popping in. I really
you got
appreciate it.
Brad
Who?
Austin.
Yeah, I already said hi to Brad Austin
Okay.
already. Paul Murray, thank you for popping in, sir. I really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor and smash that thumbs up on the stream. I really appreciate that. We got Mr. Michael Wright from Tex Arch Drone Guy. Thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. Again, I apologize that I was a little late on the show. Had to put my daughter to sleep. We have Mr. Eden from Exploring with Eden Valley Drones. Thank you for popping in. We got Mr. John from Mr. JRC's. I bet that you enjoyed that DJI FPV, John. That's a hell of a bird. Be careful. Don't fly over folks and watch what you're doing. That thing is really fast. Even in sports mode, it's really pretty thinking fast. Mickey MCH, thank you for popping in. I really appreciate it. And I think, oh, Mr. Jody Drone Shots, thank you for popping in, sir. Really
Yeah,
appreciate that. And I think
yeah,
I'm up to date with saying hi to everyone so far. But yeah, Dre. Oh, we got Mr. William. Thank you for
yep.
popping
Just
in,
popped
sir.
in. Yep.
Really appreciate that. I appreciate the love and support.
And
Mr.
Johnny
Johnny,
Drone
how
Fly.
you doing, sir? Thank you for popping in, sir. I really appreciate the love and support. But yeah, I believe, Dre, you and I actually talked about this earlier today on the phone. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing like how the DNV does to everyone when it comes to driving a vehicle or a commercial vehicle out here. You have to have everything up to date. If you don't have it, you won't be able to drive. Period. And I remember you and I talked that driving
Yeah.
is not
Well,
a right. It's not right. It's a privilege for you to be driving on the road. It's also, I would say, it's also a privilege for us to fly drones as well. So as much as we hate the fact that we have to update the freaking drone every time, because sometimes DJI does have a tendency to update one thing and then fuck up something else. Unfortunately, it happens. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Joe. I know you're laughing, but
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Well, I laugh because it goes back to quality. I say, quality work, what you put into it. Sometimes I think these guys do not take the time to really vet their updates, and we become the testers, the guinea pigs. And I say that when there's a big enough outcry, then DJI goes back and makes a correction. Uh, and that's sad, like I say, we spend good money on these things and we want them to work as best as possible. And when you have issues, it's one thing when we screw up as the pilot,
Yeah,
but when the software is not right, that's what adds to the aggravation and the resentment and everything else that comes with that, towards the manufacturer. Say, what, why are you putting out, or why are you selling things that are not complete and stuff? Hey, Mr. Chris Holt. So I mean, it just adds to it. But like I said, that's nothing new. Everything we buy today, from cars to refrigerators, always seem to need some kind of a firmware update or whatever on the day that it's delivered. You buy a new TV, you get it home, and you power it up, and the first thing it says is, "Oh, let me check for new updates on a brand new TV out the box." You, you
yeah,
get you get your you get your car, and you get it, and for 3 months, next year you get a email or a text message from the dealer that says, "Oh, you need to bring your car in. We need to do some software update on the whatever it is, the instrument panel cluster or infotainment system or something like that." There's always seems to be something going on. We live in such a high tech society, but it seems like we're getting a little sloppy on our P's and Q's of the software side. Something that we think it should
yep.
be
Now,
pretty much nailed down.
yep. Now, how you doing, Scott? Mr. Jackrabbit FPV, thank you for popping in. To answer your question, Drone Mafia Production, I'm actually in Gainesville, Florida. And let me see if anybody else popped in that I have. Oh, how you doing, brother Chris Hope? Thank you for popping in. So I really appreciate the love and support. Thank you for being here. Um, but yeah, Dre, I mean, again, as much as we hate all the stupid freaking updates, and I know I do, I don't like turning on my freaking drone. The next thing you know, there's some book that I need to update. I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
For example, the other day I was ready to fly, and boom, update. And I literally when I hit one whole battery. You know what I mean? For the
Mm-hmm.
whole damn update. How you doing, Thomas Baker, aka TEB Drone Flyer? Thank you for popping in, sir. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you
Yeah.
actually in Spring Hill, Florida. Drone Mafia Production. You actually need to go ahead and look me up on Facebook on Adrian Mateo Drones, or send me an email here, and we can actually hopefully maybe link up and drive, bro. Because I'm actually in Spring Hill quite often. So just hit me up, and then you know what I mean. We'll work out the kinks later And you know what I mean? It'll be a pleasure to go ahead and meet you. Maybe we could go ahead and get a flyer to in. Dre,
Yeah.
I hate my daughter crying. I think that little booger just went ahead and got her. She probably need to be changed. I'll be right back.
Okay, not a problem.
I'll be
We'll
right back.
continue on. Yeah, I just laughing at Brad's remark. He's waiting for his body firmware update 2.0. I said, I think all of us, especially most of us over 50, especially those over 60 like me, need an update. I need to roll my firmware back to about 4 years ago, and I'll be set and everything. But yeah, I said just to recap for those who just came in, we start off talking about this remote ID, and over the last several months, DJI, that's all I fly DJI. I know they have rolled out firmware updates to reflect the upcoming remote ID across the majority of their drones over the last 4 months. So no matter what you're flying, it would be the FPV drones, Avata, like me, you fly the Phantom still, the Mavic series, no matter what it is, everybody has had some type of firmware update come down the pipe in the last 4 months to add that remote ID information in your system. So like I said, no matter if you fly the Go4 app, the Fly app, or the Pilot app, you've all have gotten a request to do an update, firmware update. It might address some other issues also, but that is mainly the main thing is DJI is trying to make sure they are remote ID ready when this thing hits the ground running come late next year. So that's the key thing more than anything else. Hey, Mr. Bob Casey, good to see you in, brother. And stuff. As long as I'm not old as Barkley. Good one, Johnny. So yeah, that's going to be a key thing. And like I said, those you guys, and I see them all the time that just say, "Oh, I don't update my drones." Well, if you happen to be one of those people who, like Adrian said, his Mavic 3 won't fire up until he has to play with it a few times to get past the remote ID issue. And sometimes you might, like I say, you need to go into your menu area and see if it's actually on. Now, they tell us that when remote ID actually becomes active, we won't have an option to turn it off. Right now, I know you can go into the menu and you can slide it to the right to turn it on or to the left to turn it off. So we have the option right now. So I think that might be something. We'll talk to Agent about that when he comes back to see if he's done that in his case. I was hoping Al Diaz is going to pop in tonight, but he may come in a little later and see how he's dealing with it. I haven't had much of an issue. Now, I did make a oddball mistake today, where I call a mistake in my pre-flight. Like I said, I knew I was going to fly 2 different drones today, the Mavic 2 Pro, and I took the Matrice 30T out today. Last night, I got my Mavic 2 Pro out, hooked it up, everything, threw a battery in it to see if it had any updates. And it did. They had some updates in it. So, voila. But I'm thinking that, like I said, we all go through the same issue. And that's why it's good to have a habit or a good pre-flight regimen that I didn't take out the controller for the Matrice 30T and fire up last night because I just took it out and flew it, or I did a test flight, I guess, a couple weeks back. Well, lo and behold, I'm out there at the site today, and I, brought the Mavic 2 Pro back, and I'm about to throw the Matrice up in the air, and it says, "Oh, recommended firmware update." So I'm standing out in this parking lot, and I only got my phone as a hotspot. So as slow as that is, now I'm sitting there waiting another 25, 30 minutes watching this RC Pro Plus do its update and also send information over to the drone. That's my fault because I didn't check it the night before. And that's why I said you always need to get in the habit. If you know you're going to fly, turn your controller on, throw a battery in the drone the night before or hours before you go out, and and just see if you got updates. That way, when you get out there and fly, you do just that. You go out and fly. You're not sitting there wasting a battery on an update, because some of those updates can take quite a bit of time, which means you're losing battery and stuff. And just lucky for me, those the batteries are fairly strong on that Matrice 30T. So when I was able to get it up, I still had 75% battery left when I took off. So that was good on that. So I wish I had that footage ready for you guys to view. But when we finish this show tonight, I'll get back to editing and throw something together. It's going to be a fairly long video because I'm doing this for a Park and Recs department. So I'm trying to, give a little bit of everything that went on, and so to speak. So it's going to probably be about a 5-minute, maybe a 6-minute long video, which is kind of long in drone video minutes. Usually we try to keep our stuff below 2.5, 3 minutes and be in and out. So you get something that's a little longer. Hopefully people's attention span stays in there with you, unless you're actually talking about something that people need to pay attention to. So where's the host of the show? Well, Bob Casey, I am the guest host. Adrian popped in for a minute. He's got nighttime duty with the baby, so he's been trying to get her to sleep. So I'm the Joan Rivers of the Carson Show tonight. So that's where we're at. Yep. So I could say, more anything else, this is why I always encourage people. For one thing, is to, if you feel like taking the time, study and get the Part 107. Not that you need, not that it's going to make a big difference, but it will make things easier for you down the road, I believe, as far as requesting special permissions to DJI, from the FAA if you need it, so forth. Like I said, when you're Part 107, you get the little bit of a luxury of being treated a little more professionally in your request when you're trying to get authorization. I know I've seen a couple of people post in different groups talking about they had to send a request in to DJI because they live in some areas that have uncontrolled towers, airfields without towers, I should say. And I haven't ran into that in my area, so I'm not familiar with it. But it just goes to show that there may be other instances that come up that you need to get a Lance approval or actual. I hate to use the word waiver because basically it's just an approval from the FAA to fly that area. And once you get that approval from the FAA, I always tell people, do a screenshot of that or save it in a file somewhere. So when you go over to DJI and ask for a authorization of release, or whatever they call it, it's an unlock. That is the form that you would use, or that is the data that you would use to submit to DJI to unlock your drone to fly in that area. And it could be a lifetime deal, and not just the day you fly. Sometimes you can get that. In other words, it's not going to be a tower built in the next week or two or next year automatically. So that way you can say, hey, this has been an uncontrolled airport for 40 years and it's going to stay uncontrolled. So let me go ahead and get some type of COA or whatever so I can fly here. That you send it to DJI, and then DJI sends the information to your drone, so you never have to apply for that again. So there's always different scenarios. Like I said, the city I live in, we have an airport, and that Class D airspace covers, I would say, practically 80% of the city and probably about 20-30% of the neighboring cities. So, like I say, for me, it's in my best interest, so I can do what I do for my city, is to get a COA based upon what I do. And I was granted a COA. So right now, every drone I have has that COA information on it, and my drones are all on the list to DJI, and that way it gets automatically sent to my controllers. All I got to do is make sure it's clicked in the on position if I'm in controlled airspace, and then if I'm outside of controlled airspace, like where I live at, I make sure it's turned off. And that way it goes back to Class G airspace. So, but Brad asked, what kind of clothing do I normally wear when you're flying, either for work or for hobby? Brad, for me, I'm gonna back up a little bit. If I'm flying on the weekend, my non 9 to 5 job, this is what I wear. I always wear something that lets people know my company brand and have an idea of what I do. You know, that's like the hats and shirts I gave out last year or early this year. That's the branding. Every time I go out, I wear my brand, and that cuts down on the Karens and other folks that come across and want to ask questions. That I am a professional individual. Hello, Mr. Ray Kelly, Jack Rabbit, Forest States area. So, like I said, this is just me. Like I said, I got into drones for a business purpose. I was not a hobbyist ever. I've always been this from a business perspective, so I always want to make sure I keep that up. Yeah. So I said, if you got one of my hats and shirts, Brad, just go ahead and wear it. It says, hey, this is the company I work for. You'll be good. So yeah. So I always tell folks, I mean, this just the image I try to project when I'm out there. Because like I say, I'm not trying to have no hassle. That's why 9 times out of 10 while I'm out, I got my yellow vest on. I got a set of cones to even cone off an area when I'm flying. All these different things. This has been a kind of like a goofy week for me. My car's in the shop. My alternator went out on my car, so it's in the shop. So I'm driving around in this Range Rover the dealership gave me. So I don't have all of my gear, so I have to be a little extra careful.
How you doing, brother Ray Kelly? Thank you for popping in. Anybody new popped in since I was gone?
Oh yeah, like I said, you had Ray Kelly. Let me see here. We had Jack Rabbit.
State aerial photography.
Yeah.
Jack Rabbit FPV. Thank you for popping in. Oh, we got Mr. Brother Bob Casey. How you doing, sir? Thank you for popping in. Really appreciate it. I was actually changing a very messy diaper, Bob Casey. So yeah, I have to literally go ahead and wash my hand because you know the deal.
Yeah. So I say just to address some things. Thanks, Bob Casey and Stephen Drones. I say what you guys got sent is what I wear. It's not no knockoff stuff. Exactly what I wear out there. I wanted nice gear to look nice, look professional. So that's what you guys got. Exactly what I wear out there. And Stephen Drones got the benefit of wearing one of my hoodies the other day when he was out flying in the snow. I told him when I watched this video, I was getting chills just watching it. He had some serious snow over there where he was at. You see Chris Hope? Were you gone before he got in there? Chris Hope's in the house?
No, Chris Hope. No depends for grown-ups here. I wish straight boxes. How you doing, Mr. Drone Anu Visual? Thank you for popping in. So Merry Christmas to you too, buddy. Thank you for popping in, sir. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ray Kelly got one of the long sleeves, and I see you can talk about a blessing because I didn't know Ray had an issue with his skin as far as being in the sun too much. So it's kind of like I gave him the right shirt that he needs, so he doesn't get exposed to too much sun. He get the long sleeve one. So I have about four of the short sleeves. I got about another 3 or 4 of the long sleeves, the hats, and I got the hoodie. And so I hear Brad out said I don't have the hoodie yet. I said, Brad, sorry, partner. I guess the last extra one I had went to the wife. Yeah. So that's great.
When it comes to your Mavic 2 Pro Enterprise Advanced and the thermal, and your M30T, are they pretty much your hand-to-hand, or do you have more features on the M30T compared to the Pro Enterprise Advanced?
As far as the thermal, the specs on the thermal on the Enterprise Advanced, the Mavic Enterprise Advanced, and the M30T, the M3T, they're all the same as far as the specs. They are those 3 drones have the same specs. That is the industry standard. The 640 by 512, I think it is, thermal imaging. That is across the board. Okay. Now, as far as the ability for that thing to zoom in, that is dependent upon each drone itself. Like I said, with the M30T, you have up to 200 times zoom. I think the thermal might be a little less than that. I know on the Enterprise Advanced, the thermal only goes to 4 times zoom on that, and it goes up to 16 zoom in photo mode, regular camera, and then I think it's up to 6 or 8 times zoom video. But I know the thermal only does 4 times zoom. So that might be the only thing is a zoom ability on each of the drones of what the thermal can do. But the actual thermal camera itself, the specs on that camera are the same for all 3 drones. Okay. So like I said, whatever one you get, you're going to get the industry standard as far as for thermal imaging. Yeah. So
actually, Bob Casey, Christmas is Sunday, so I think I am going to go ahead and do one, and then again maybe not, because I think I'm going to be very busy as well. So I will lean towards no right now. But if anything changes, I will let you guys know in advance.
Okay.
Dre, when it comes to the again, another thing that you and I talked about earlier today is that video that I was telling you about that we were actually discussing, that guy that I do a drone deer recovery channel on YouTube, which this guy, I'm not promoting his channel by any means, but he did went ahead and made an amazing video that happens to be one of the drones that Dre have, which is the Matrice M30T. And Dre actually had that attachment on his drone as well. I don't know if he actually touched up on that, Dre, before I actually came on the show.
No, I didn't talk about that. Okay. It's something. Like I said, there's no right and wrong. It just goes back to pre-flight checklists. Just give people a little synopsis. The guy's channel is deer recovery, drone recovery deer, drone deer recovery. Basically, what the guy does is he assists hunters who've gone out deer hunting and took a shot, hit something, and lost it. So he used his drone to track. Now, I'll be first to tell you, this type of activity is not legal in every state. So you need to be careful if you're going to try to do something like this. I don't care what drone you use. I don't know if you need an infrared drone or a regular drone. There are laws in certain states that do not allow you to use drones for tracking purposes, for hunting. So I don't know how
that is true. That is true.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know how this would play as far as the deer's already been shot and they're tracking it down because it wasn't a knockdown shot. So they're trying to hunt it down or whatever. So I'm sure there's going to be some questionable legal jargon in there that says, hey, you can't do this or you are allowed to do this. So first thing I tell you is check with your local laws, check with your local fish and game people, and ask them, is this type of activity legal? But what happened is that the guy, he owns his business. I guess he has more than one employee besides himself. And he had someone attach the speaker and light adapter on the M30T. If you've seen my video, he has the same one I have, the big RCA megaphone type thing and the light. During his flight, the attachment became disengaged.
Hold on 1 second there, Dre. First of all, welcome Lee from Yellow Rose Drones, and good night, brother Austin. Thank you for popping in, sir. Have a good evening. I'll see you later. Go ahead, Dre.
Yeah. So apparently, during his flight, the adapter, the light adapter, became disengaged out of its position, and it rolled over to the side, damaged the props on the front I think it's the front right side,
The
and the
back.
drone came. Yeah, I think it was the front. It showed the front. The front ones are damaged, and
Yeah, yeah.
then
I'm
he
sorry. What
showed.
was the front? Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, because
yeah, the front
it was
props
bleeding like
on the
that.
right. Yeah, the
Yeah.
front ones on the right were the props were halfway chewed off from hitting the adapter, and then I guess when it landed on the left arm, which got broken. Other than that, the drone survived. Came out very great. I mean, it's a miracle. He said the guy said he was flying right about at 400 feet, so that's a heck of a drop from 400 feet on a drone that big, that heavy, and that's the only damage you had. The gimbal was unscathed at all, so it was great. But it just goes to show you, just like I was saying earlier, I missed on doing a update. This guy who was the pilot didn't recheck all of his stuff. And he might have caught this loose attachment because all it was, the detachment came off the rails and fell off, and it just wasn't in there securely. And I have that attachment, and it makes a pretty distinct click sound when it's definitely engaged. So how it got missed, it happens. But as you being a pilot, and we say pilot in command, or you being an actual pilot at the controls, this is one of your responsibilities to check your gear before you take off. So try to minimize situations like this. I mean, I've had strobe lights come off in flights, especially if I'm flying in some wind, and the Velcro only holds so much. And come back and say, "Oh, my strobe's gone. Don't know where it went." But things do come off, and it will happen. So it's just something you got to be mindful of. And this guy was very lucky that the drone did not get totaled, especially from that type of altitude and the weight of that drone. I'll be surprised. It is lucky. I don't know what it landed in. I don't know if it landed in brush or whatever. But I've had a drone come straight down because of a battery failure, and it just pancaked the ground. And just it's like I might well just try to put a puzzle together. That's how many pieces were left. It's just a crying shame. But yeah, it's a tough thing. That's just a reminder that the guy said, hey, it's just one of those things you just got to remind yourself to check. Never be in a hurry. Too much to forget to do your pre-flight checks. Checking your props and everything else. I'm real particular with my Phantoms. I admit, because the props are always on a Mavic type of drone, it's easy to not check those because it's already attached with the Phantom 4s and so much. You got to put the props on unless you got a big enough case where your props will fit when you close the case. Mine doesn't. So go ahead, Adrian.
Let me go ahead and welcome Mr. Michael's Drones and RCs. Thank you for popping in, buddy. Really appreciate the love and support. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to pop the link to his video if
Okay.
anyone wants to go ahead and check him out.
Yeah.
I just went ahead and
So
popped it in the stream. If you want to check out that video that Dre and I
yeah.
actually talking about when that drone actually fell off the sky because of the attachment. So
Yeah. So
again,
like I
I'm from
said,
one of his channel. I don't know the guy. I literally just went ahead and subscribed to his channel earlier, myself and Dre, because again, he makes great content, and I think he only have like 9,000 subs, but his videos gets over 8, 9, 10,000 views. So I'm pretty sure, you know what I mean. His channel, when it comes to views, is probably monetized, and I'm sure he's probably making money out of YouTube. And also, he does this drone stuff as a business. Otherwise, he won't be talking about it.
right.
Let me
Hey,
welcome
Jim's
up
joining.
Jim Droning. Thank you for popping in. Really appreciate
Yeah.
it. Go ahead, Dre. You know
Yeah.
what, Dre? Hold on. I think this is what we need to do. Say, for example, you are doing your thing and you're talking, and if I do this, then I probably need to say something real quick. So thank you for paying attention that I have my hands raised like I'm in kindergarten. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Not a problem. Not a problem. That's why I figured you had your hand up. But I was saying, the guy's just basically admitting that, it's something he made a mistake. He wasn't, trying to do something, illegal or anything like that, or rush it. Is like I said, he had somebody set the drone up for him and just took off and flew. And that's why I always say, it's kind of like you got to check it for yourself. And I would say that's why I kind of like my Phantoms, because I got to put the props on myself. So that's a reminder for me to put the props on, check them, feel for the little cracks and the flexibility or rigidity of the props themselves. Make sure they're on there, right, and everything else. So, like I said, it's on me. Most of the places I do fly is a very minimum risk factor for me to crash into people or on buildings, because I'm usually at construction sites. But like today, I'm at an event at a college, and I'm flying on the outskirts of the college per se. So I got to look out for traffic. I got to look out for people coming out of blind areas between buildings and so forth. And I say, some things just happen, just like a car accident. Sometimes things just happen, but you try to mitigate as much as you can every time you fly. You just got to do. I mean, when questions get asked, like anything else, they're gonna ask you, "Hey, did you do this? Did you do that?" You say, "Yes, I did do this and do that." And like I asked one guy, he was asking about something happened to his drone, and I asked a simple question. I said, "Well, what did your data say before the drone took off on him?" And he couldn't answer the question. I said, and I told the guy, I said, "This is part of flying." I said, "You need to be able to glance at your satellite locks, see what your RC connection level is, see what your screen connection level is if you have that on your program or whatever." Because I say, yeah, people say it's the way people fly causing them lose connection. But I'm saying your satellites and stuff is a hint to tell you, hey, stop doing this, dum-dum, because you're losing connectivity. So don't be trying to dip behind buildings or behind a bunch of tall trees. And don't be trying to fly way down the road too far, because next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm only down to 1 bar. Maybe I need to come back. Yeah, you need to come back, And the same thing, guys get in a hurry and they launch and they only had like 7, 8 satellites. And I'm like, dude, you really risking it, and especially when you ask that question, they can't even tell you what they had. And I always tell them, they said, well, I asked them, I said, pull your data. They said, well, how do I do that? I said, you can pull it off your RC, So I just goes to show me that people are getting too much of a rush. They're not really understanding a lot about the equipment and everything else, because when something goes wrong, everybody wants answers. You want answers yourself as the pilot. If it caused some damage, whoever else is involved gonna want answers, and you're gonna need to be able to provide them. Because this shrugging your shoulders and saying, I don't know, ain't gonna cut it. And just like when, if you do happen to find your drone, the first thing DJI asks for is flight logs. They always ask for flight log, because I tell folks the data don't lie. The flight log gonna tell you.
Fight? Thank you for popping in, buddy. You know what, Dre? I set up an account with that air data. And for some reason, I'm not able to log into the account. I'm wondering if it will let me do some kind of password reset or what's not. Yeah, I guess I need to do more research about that, because I did it, and for a little while I was able to go in, but then I guess I haven't done it in such a while. It kind of logged me out, and now when I'm trying to put the password in, it's not letting me, unless I'm actually forgot the password, which I never wrote it down or saved it nowhere. That's probably okay, but it should let me do the whole password reset through email, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I think they do have a process where you can reset your password. If not, go through the support page and let them know that you need to do that and everything.
Oh Lord, be right back again. Here crying. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, Stephen Jones. Is that when you're I'm trying to think of the brand you have. I know you use the Typhoon. Yeah, Typhoons. Yeah, those are, like I say, decent sized drones. And he said 175 feet, battery disconnected, made a 1-inch hole in the ground. Just think if it hit someone. Yeah. So like I say, we got to do the best we can. There's no perfect scenario, Well, that's what we always talk about, mitigating, trying to do the best we can to mitigate any situations. And Jim's joining said, yeah, Joey, my air data is still missing old flight. Okay. Yeah, I say you need to contact them and see what's going on. Like I say, if you have the free account or you have one of the beginning accounts, you may be at your flight limit. And what happens, like for me, I have so many batteries that all my batteries don't show up, or they'll be darkened out, as that those batteries are no longer being, in other words, get the maintenance on them. Because I average about at least 5 to 6 batteries per drone, and I think I'm up to about, the plan I have lets me cover about, I want to say 40 batteries and stuff. So I have batteries that I can't even use on air data. I got so many batteries. Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, Stephen Jones said, I never fly with people, and that's great. But I can tell people, I say, you never know. People come out of the woodwork, just like ants and roaches, man. It's like, where they come from? And you got to, like, nobody was out here. You didn't see anything. And all of a sudden, and what really gets me is you could be flying, watching your screen, look at your drone, watch the screen, look at your drone, all this kind of stuff. And you don't see anybody in the picture. And then you get home and you take the SD card out, put in your reader. All of a sudden you say, where the heck did that car come from? Where they come from? And you got people in your stuff that you didn't see. Because like I said, there's so much information on the screens themselves, in the corners. You see what's in the middle of the screen, but you don't catch what's in the far corner along the bottom. Because I know on my screen, you got your speed, altitude, all the different things down there. But I also have, especially on my Phantoms and my Mavic 2 Pros, I have the, what do you call it, the little, not a profile, but basically it's a camera thing. I can't think of the name of it right now. That shows you the range of the colors that you're picking up in your camera. And mine sits right towards the bottom of the screen, towards the left side, right next to where I have the map. So that corner right there of my screen is a blind spot for me. Okay, while I'm looking at my screen. So when I get my stuff home and I look at it, I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. Where'd that come from? It's not always a car or a person, something, but it could be something totally different that you're like, I don't remember seeing that. It just shows up. So yeah, even having these nice large screens and all these nice smart controllers that we have now that are coming out, and the same thing with a phone, and that's why everybody was talking about when you get use a phone, get a big phone so you can see more, but you're still not going to see everything, and that's why I say sometimes you need to stop sometimes and kind of do a 360 and see what's around you, because like I said, sometimes we get too focused on what we're actually looking at on the screen, and you're doing a I call it a slide move. I guess you actually call it a dolly move. And as you slide along, which the sensors are almost useless when you're flying left to right or right to left. Those are the worst sensors on a drone. The front and back ones do okay.
Hey, brother, like Pilot, would you like to be in the show? If you do, let me know, and I'll pop the link in the chat real quick for you to hop in if you want to. Just let me know.
He's probably talking about you.
Oh, okay. He probably is.
Yeah. So as I was just talking about folks about, being aware when you're flying, as I tell folks, you can't rely upon the sensors, because the sensors on the side of drones are the weakest ones. And that's basically because where they're at. Either most of the time they're near the rear end of a drone. I think the Phantom has got the best position because the way it's built, where it's almost all the sensors are almost centered in each direction. But some of the other drones, when you're going from left to right, right to left, that is one of the most highly, percentage-wise, when drones crash, because the sensors just don't pick up. They just don't pick up the objects quick enough to stop the drone or send you a warning that you're about to crash into something. You know, the front and back ones do a decent job, but the ones on the side are absolutely the worst. Yeah, and that's why I'm always big about not relying upon sensors too often. I say sometimes you just got to stop and what you're doing, and you want to do a dolly move, turn the drone in the direction you want to go to see what's coming up in your direction, and all that kind of stuff, and then continue on and do the movement, or you need to get higher or lower, or move back or scoot forward, whatever you need to do to get the shot in.
Hey Dre, talking about that and relying on the sensors, I actually went ahead and I put the DJI Final 4 Pro V 2.0 on ADI mode.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. On GPS mode, that drone is fantastic. But once you put that thing on that
ADI
ADI
mode,
mode, and you don't have none of that shit to help you keep
it's
that
a
thing. You know what I mean?
whole different
Straight.
animal then.
I'm talking about that drone is gonna get away from you if you don't know what the hell you're doing,
Yeah.
and you will end up crashing that bad boy. I'm talking about destroying that damn thing. I did it. I panicked for a little bit, but I got it done. I think I need to go ahead and practice a little bit more till I get really comfortable flying it that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say thanks to Brent Arrows. Yeah, histogram. That's the word I was looking for, Gary. Is the histogram.
Okay.
Yeah, that sits down at the bottom of my screen and everything else. Because, like I say, I'm not really adept into all this camera jargon and technical side, so I know the histogram helps me adjust my camera. Because I did learn that much about histogram. As long as you got everything in the middle, you're gonna come out okay. I was like extremely to the dark side or the light side. You keep everything kind of in the middle, you'll be fine. So like I said, all these little things, and still like Stephen Jones said, you hit the screen one time, everything goes away. But see, the things that go away are things I use. Like I say, I want to know what my altitude is at all times. Same thing, I want to know what my speed is. All these different things. I want to know my histogram. That all these things help you be a better photographer in a way, as far as getting good footage and everything else. Everybody talks about how do I get good footage? The first thing somebody buys a drone, they talk about, I need to get ND filters. I said, well, if you know how to read your histogram and other things on your screen, if you need an ND filter or not. If you need to do something else or not. That's what all that telemetry. Like I say, Jim Jones, I need my same thing. I need my telemetry. And that's why I tell folks, pay attention to your telemetry from your signal strength indicators at the top of the screen to what you have at the bottom, altitude, speed, all these different things. Because that's what real pilots look for. They talk about somebody who's instrument qualified. Those are the ones who have the higher level of being a pilot. Is when you qualify to be an instrument pilot. You can fly. In other words, you can fly in the blind as long as you can read your telemetry. You can land that plane, even in the dark. Oh yeah, drone meetup a couple months away.
Yep.
Yep.
Drone meetup is coming.
Yep.
It's not that far from here.
No, not that far at all.
April 1st, if I'm not mistaken. It's coming soon.
Now, I'm not sure. I don't see Tom. I didn't see Tom Dowling come in, and I know this is the busy season for Bob, Santa Claus Bob. But my trip to Vegas is back on again for next week, as we speak. Those who didn't know, I didn't put a lot of information out. Adrian knows. I had a granddaughter who just had surgery for some intestinal problems this last week. She's been in the hospital for the last 2 weeks with a blockage. So we have talked about canceling our trip this coming up week. But she came through her surgery okay, and everything seemed to be working out. So I guess our trip is back on and going from there. So anybody who's going to be in the Vegas area starting on the 19th, I'll be there from the 19th to the I'll be heading back on the 22nd. So
Sorry
I
about
am
that,
bringing a
Lake Pilot.
drone.
Sorry about the Lake Pilot. The link is there now. I don't think I ever saw a message from you saying that you'll jump in. So I just went ahead and popped it in there. Come on in. The link is there now. Let me see. So I just discovered
Yeah,
that the OG Mavic Air had remote ID when I checked my drone for updates. Really?
yeah.
The old school Mavic Air? Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No shit.
And that's why I was saying about people need to check their you know information on the three dots. It's going to be in there probably at the very top of the screen. You hit the three dots, it's going to be there. If you've done an update in the last 3 months or so, it should be right there.
Well, you know what, Thomas Baker? I still have my Mavic Air. Still got a bad boy. I need to go ahead and take a look at that again because I know Dre and I actually played around with the Phantom 4 where he showed me where it is. The Mavic 2
Mm-hmm.
Pro. Now I need to look into that one for the Mavic Air. Yeah, I
Yeah,
need to take a look at that because again, when Dre told me about it, I thought he was just pulling my leg until I swear for my second I did not know that they had it. I thought it was only going to be only for the new updated drones.
yeah.
It
Yes,
will
like,
be great to see you there, Gary. Don't say anything. Just you're gonna be here. Bring it with you. Hey, Lake Pilot, I say that your device is not connected, so I'm waiting for you to go ahead and pop on in. Then I'll let you through.
yeah. Because like I say, DJI has been doing a good job of getting these firmware updates out on all their drones. I call them legacy drones. Anytime you have something that's out of production, it's considered a legacy item. And they're trying to make sure that no matter what you have, it will still be able to fly. Now, you may have to buy a module that works with it, but at least their software is going to be compatible with whatever module you may have to buy or whatever the case may be, which is good. Like I say, everybody is not buying the latest drone. Like I said, I still have a Phantom 3 Pro out there in the garage that's still capable of flying. It's got 5 batteries to it, and every blue moon I'll break it out and fly it around. Now you talking about Addy mode, dude? You fly with them early Phantom 3 series. They're not too bad. Phantom 3 do pretty good. But you get a Phantom 2, dude, Phantom 1, you can stand by, dude. It's like flying with no GPS.
How you doing, buddy?
GPS is so weak, it's ridiculous.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, how we doing, partner?
Good.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I forgot your name again. What is it again?
Jack.
Damn it. There it is. I know it started with the J, but I just don't remember.
Jack got the basement all decked out there.
Yeah, but he doesn't want us to see it.
I saw when he first came in. He put the portrait mode on once he got focused. But I saw when he first popped in. That's the only thing in California we don't have is basements.
Well, I'm blessed with that because if I didn't have that, my wife wouldn't let me go anywhere.
Yeah. For me, a basement would be my home theater dream. I have my projector system set up. I have a big old 150-inch screen and
thanks, Ray.
Host your back.
Hey, you know what, Ray Kelly? I'm actually very happy that I got that Final 4 Pro V 2.0. That's one drone that I've always freaking wanted, but for a very long time, and still right now, DJI is out of stock on those. So when I found it on Adorama, I jumped on it. And now they don't even have any more right now. They've been out of stock now for a while.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nice machine. I had a Phantom 4 Advance that I lost in the river, but I got a Phantom 4 Original, and I love it. It's solid.
Right. Yeah.
You still have it, Jack?
That whole series.
Oh yeah. I have the Phantom 4. I have a Mini 1. I have Mini 3 Pro, which that thing is phenomenal.
Wait a minute, hold on. So you actually bought the Flying Frog? you actually purchased the Flying Frog. That's what I call it.
Oh, it's a phenomenal machine.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I flew one. The camera. I mean, it works amazing. I'm not knocking that. Me personally, Jack, I'm just not a fan of the way it looks. I think it's a.
It's ugly as shit,
I think
but
it's an ugly
you
piece of
know,
machine.
there's women you've been with in your life that were ugly as shit, and you loved them anyhow.
Hey, Dre, Dre, I believe that Jack just became my best friend just now because of what he just said. Hey, because that is actually a true statement, Andre. It is true, man.
Okay, I'll let you two hang on to that statement.
We have had our share of ugly women. We have.
I'll let you two hang on to that statement. I'm not claiming that one, not at all. I tell folks all the time, you can date a dozen beautiful women, but everybody remembers that ugly one.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh man, that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
So, Jack, if you was to go ahead and fly right now, what would be your go-to drone?
Mini 3 Pro. Yeah.
Okay. Do you also buy the one with the smart controller or the standard controller?
Smart controller.
Smart controller. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Beautiful thing is that now DJI. DJI made that remote compatible with other drones, so it actually made it pretty good.
I know that. One of the things that pissed me off today was they do the Santa thing with the fire truck and everything through the development.
Mm-hmm.
I had awesome video of that, and I went to transfer it today. I thought I had it transferred. I delete it, and I lost it all.
Oh no shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a scary thing, that you get the SD card, you put it in there, and you transfer over to your hard drive, wherever you put it at, and then you get the question in your mind like, okay, I'm back at the SD card. Do I delete this or not? Because then you get scared because you're doing 4 or 5 things at the same time. You want to, did I actually transfer that over or forgot to?
The sad part is when I heard the fire truck coming, I had so much stuff on the SD card. That it was crashing out. It said, "Oh, no space, this, that, and the other thing." So I'm deleting stuff quick to make it happen. Yada yada yada, and it was ugly.
That's unfortunate.
I'm assuming you deleted it by mistake, Jack.
Well, no. When I was transferring, I thought I had transferred, and these new Google phones and all that stuff they have, they don't work well. No, you need to take the SD card and put it in your computer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I get with a lot of people ask questions on that M30T is that they're still trying to use their phones to transfer stuff. And I said, dude, this drone is not built like that. It doesn't transfer anything to a phone. And even when you do a screen recording, you have to manually find the file on the controller, copy, and then paste it on the SD card that's in the controller itself. It won't automatically just copy onto the controller SD card. It doesn't recognize that the SD card, I mean, it'll tell you SD card is there, but there's nothing right now that says that you can just defaultly set the SD card and controller as the place for the on-screen recording to go on. You have to still do a transfer. And people are just like, pulling their hair out. How do you do this? I'm like, yeah, dude, you just got to do it manually.
No, that's the least fun part of this whole hobby. I mean, you sit down, you fly around, you see this, that, you do your videos, yada, yada, yada. But when you have to sit there and put them into a video or try to figure out how to use these crazy video editing softwares, I'm not great at that. I'm an old guy that tries,
Yeah, well, I tell folks, whatever you start using, stay with it, unless it's something that's a piece of crap. The learning curve on some of the software is just so high, and I'm like, I'm not trying to go back to kindergarten on anything.
No, but it's like anything else. Okay, so I don't care what industry you work in, they come out with the platform, and there's certain people in the platform that'll come out with something that's great, and then
Right.
you have to, every day you have to update, 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 update. No, you don't need that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You
Yeah.
just come out with something that works and let us do it.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier about the drones. Is just that the quality assurance is very low on what these manufacturers are putting out, and it's across the board. DJI is not the only one. Autel does
Right.
it too, Skydio and whoever else. And like you say, in nowadays, no matter what you buy, from TVs, refrigerators to whatever else, it's like as soon as you get out the box, it says, "Oh, check for updates."
Right.
You know,
Right. Yeah,
and
and they reinvent the wheel every time. And
right.
it's
hmm
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's like give me Windows 95 or whatever we started with, and
Right. Yeah.
let us all learn it. You know,
Right. Well,
to the
I guess.
to the point that you did before you reinvented the wheel.
Yeah, I guess when people talk about that, I said I remember using DOS, and I was quite happy with that. And then this Windows thing came out, and I was like, "What?" You know.
Right.
But I remember the old wars talking about PCs, where I was in the military at the time, and half the command was using Word Perfect, the other half was using Word Star, and the other half was using something else, and you had to sit there and have to retype one whole document because somebody used a different word processing program and you don't have it. So you had to
Right.
retype the whole thing in the program you had. I said,
No, I don't. I don't disagree. I mean, when I was
yeah.
in college, it was everybody had Word 3.1 or 5.1
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
was, and it's like,
Right.
uh, yeah, I used to write stuff out by hand at that point, and they would still take it at that point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nowadays they look at you like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I was like, that's ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, it's just unfortunate, that this is what we have to deal with on the consumer end, that we're dealing with this. I call it lack of being on your P's and Q's,
Right. Right.
and it's just unfortunate to go from there. I see Adrian bounced out on us again. Take care of the
Well,
little one and everything.
well,
So,
having young kids is tough. I mean,
oh yeah.
I only ever had one, but
Mm.
I can remember those days, and I can remember being sleep deprived for
No, like I
to
said,
the point where I was, like, oh, I'm gonna die.
yeah. So are you part 107?
Yeah.
Okay, so you actually pursuing this as a business or just
Not at all. Not at all.
okay?
No.
Okay.
But I figured it was the necessary evil,
Mm-hmm.
in the event that I ever want to go that route,
Right.
I could, you know.
Okay.
I'm part 107, part 107 recurrent.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. Good. Well, that's good. That's why I was telling people that if you do have to submit for a approval from FAA or whatever,
Oh,
being part.
I've done multiple length
Yeah.
approvals,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you do get a more favorable, I would say, response when they know you are Part 107 and everything. They're more inclined to approve your request more than anything else, because I think it just shows the level of professionalism on your end to show that, hey, I took the time to study for this thing, passed it, so here I am requesting authorization to fly in this area.
Mhm.
So I think it's just a benefit to anyone who actually goes out and gets it.
And the strange thing to me, Dre, I mean, you do a little bit more because you do it on a professional basis, but
Mm-hmm.
even for a guy like me, I sit down and I appreciate shows like this because I learn, what you can and cannot do on a
Mm-hmm.
daily basis. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
it's a pretty fluid situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I tell people. I mean, you talk about fluid. I said the airspace is fluid.
Right.
I tell people all the time. I said just because you went down there and flew all the time at whatever location
Right.
doesn't mean that airspace
Means
changes.
nothing tomorrow.
Yeah, it means
Means
nothing
nothing.
tomorrow. Nothing at all. You know, and a lot of guys on the East Coast are finding that out because the president is from that area. He pops into Delaware, he pops into
Right.
Pennsylvania, and all that. And also they're saying, well, I can't fly, and they're not thinking that, okay, did you check the TFRs in your area, all this kind of stuff, especially, you know, like I tell guys out where I'm at, somebody was asking about bringing a drone out to California over Christmas, and everybody's talking about the different things. You can fly here, fly there. And I gave a suggestion. I said, hey, you might want to check with the vice president's schedule. Okay.
Well, the funny thing is, if you look at the TFRs in our area, and we don't have a whole lot of TFRs because I'm in northern Pennsylvania.
Right.
But like you see guys like Mikey, he bitches all the time because Biden's in Delaware.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Right. But up here, when they do a TFR, it's big. It's like a huge area. You know what I mean? And if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. But
right. And like I said, when the vice president comes out here, she has a house in Brentwood, which is her husband's house, and it's a 30-mile radius. Okay, now Brentwood is just to the northwest end of LA, outside of LA. But 30-mile radius puts it just about, I would say, Chino area, which is about 20 minutes from my house.
Where are you at?
I'm in San Bernardino, California. I'm about 50 miles out of LA. But that 30-mile radius of
southeast, or
I'm directly east of LA. You take Interstate 10 at LA, you come right smacking in San Bernardino and stuff. And like I said, and guys like Steve down in Orange County, he gets part of that area where he lives at. I think he may be in it or just outside that 30-mile radius and stuff. So when you have dignitaries that come into your area and they put the TFR up, and like I said, it's not promoted, but it's something as a pilot you need to be aware of.
Sure.
You know, and that's why I tell folks that there's always a lot of stuff that we're responsible for as pilots. And I use that term pilots and stuff, that, you know, we have to act like we're fixed wing pilots because we have to adhere to all the things like NOTAMs, TFRs, all these things that affect us.
Sure.
And so forth. So we have to be mindful of these things. And like I said, a lot of people are quick to say, "Oh, something wrong with the drone. DJI is trash, Alltail is trash, and it won't fly." And I said, "Dude, you know, you had a TFR. Wasn't nobody flying at all. Period."
Well, it's funny because I mean I hear the dilemmas that you guys in the urban areas have that we don't have. I mean, I live in a suburban area, but you know, when you sit down and look at it, if you're 107 certified and you sat down and looked at what everything they told you to do, you would understand it.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Just, you know, the difference, and that's why people, you know, have a big difference in opinion about, you know, the hobbyist side of this and the, you know, Part 107 side. And like you said, it's about the knowledge that you get when you take that Part 107 test, that you know you need to look out for these things.
It gives you huge knowledge.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, is it over the top? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you know what? I could talk to my friends that fly planes. I could get in a plane with the guy. You know, I know what's going on when we get in a plane. You know, it's huge. But yeah, I mean, knowledge is not bad. You know what I mean? People need to know things. So
And I think it was sometime earlier this year or last year, it was a regular fixed wing pilot, you know, flying his little plane, and one time he forgot to check for his NOTAMs and stuff, and he's up there flying with a TFR, in fact, and he said he got brought down by a couple of jets, you know, military jets, and all he could do is apologize. You know, they wrote him a big fat fine.
That's got to be an interesting thing.
Yeah. He's like, "What's going on?" You know, he's like 15, 20 minutes into his flight, and all of a sudden a pair of military jets are on both of his wings telling him that, "Hey, you need to bring this down." You know, and like I said, The one time he forgot to check his NOTAMs and stuff, and which would told him there's a TFR effect, and he went out there, got in the plane, and diddy bopped up in the air, and voila.
I bet he won't do that next week.
Oh yeah, like he said, there's an article in the paper on the guy. He said, "I take total responsibility. It was my fault. I failed to do what I was supposed to do," and he said, "Whatever the FAA decides to do with me, it would be appropriate because it was totally on me as the pilot didn't do what I was supposed to do."
Apparently, he didn't talk to his insurance man because you never admit fault.
Well, it's kind of get away from that on that deal. Yeah, this guy's kind of hard, but yeah, that's the one thing. I had a interesting conversation with one of the guys out of the country. I know a lot of people here know who he is. I'll say his name, XJet, and I know he's a big advocate for letting people fly. He believes the government has a big overreach on certain things. And I had a pretty long discussion about it. And I was telling him, I said, you're going to have two different camps. And I told him, I said, this is where he and I differ. I said, I got into drones from a business perspective. I didn't fly drones as a hobby beforehand. Didn't have no kind of interaction with drones. I got into it straight as an inspector for construction. So I feel like whatever steps I need to take, I would take those steps to make sure I can do what I need to do. Just like me becoming an inspector, whatever test they told me I need to take, I did those tests to get my certifications and all this kind of stuff so I could do what I do and everything. So I never had the thought of I should be able to go out and just do what I want to do because I'm not interfering or harming anybody with what I'm doing. For me, it's all about, okay, follow the guidelines, follow the rules, and be able to move on forward from there. And we had a very interesting discussion. I tell him, when you have people who feel the government should not have to play a role in this, I tell them, man, the government is in our lives more than you could ever think of. If you actually sat down and thought about all the things you do on a daily basis, how much the government or our government agency has oversight, provides the policies, the regulations, all this kind of stuff, you couldn't make it from your house to your job every day without it. And I tell folks, for the time you get in your car, that car meets a certain amount of regulations, standards set by the government. You go to the store, all our food we eat and stuff is set by standards and regulations by the government. Everything. The gasoline we put in our car meets a certain standard and everything set by the government.
Okay. Okay. So I don't want to start a fight, but
no. I'm interested.
That was designed and built by the people that worked for our parents and grandparents' government.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our government right now, the whole
Lord.
But anyhow, they're trying to do good things, but
right.
Those things were all set up by people that were the World War II era people,
mm-hmm.
and they did a fabulous job.
Right. I told him, I said, no system is perfect, but it's the system we have in place to stop chaos and other things from going on.
No, I don't disagree. And the FAA is set up, and I think the drone end of the FAA is set up very well. I think they're doing it. They're working with a fluid issue.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't disagree with what I'm saying,
I don't.
They're working with a fluid issue, and I think they're doing very well. They tried to educate people very well.
Yes.
I don't know whether I agree with the trust end of it. I think they should have made people go back and do a little harder deep dive into what they wanted us to see. What do you think?
I get that. Just to go back, I feel one thing XJet and I did agree upon is that we felt there should be more representation from the average consumer of these things than what we have. Right now, like always, like you said, we have elected officials who
they're nitwits. They are absolutely
like I
nitwits.
say, who may or may not have no more knowledge than you and I have, or less in most cases than you and I have about what we do. So as I said, it needs to be a balance of legislators and consumers, or actually people who fly, need to be on these boards to come to some, I would say, common sense regulation,
Right.
and so to speak. To get back to what you're saying, I like the Canadian approach. To tell you the truth, Canada has a good test, but the thing is, you have to fly in front of a tester. You actually have to fly to show that you actually have the skills
No,
to.
that makes 110%
Yeah,
sense. But
yeah.
why would we want that? That makes sense.
Well, that's just my whole point about using common sense, regulation. To me, I like that. Me personally,
I
I
do
got to
too.
go out there and fly in front of a guy and say, okay, that way it shows that I actually can know how to handle this, whatever. And just like taking a driving test. We all had to go before an instructor from our local
Right.
DMV
You're
to show that we had,
100% right. You're
so we can
100%
show
right.
we can handle a vehicle on the road. I mean, anybody can be a test taker. You know what I'm saying? Anybody going there and say, yeah, I know this stuff. I passed that test, every day, twice on Sundays. But can you actually control a vehicle on the road?
Sure.
That was the key part and stuff. So like I said, I get that. I get that 100%. That's what I would like to see. But like
I would too.
But other than that, we get, like I say, no system is perfect. We got to work with what we have, try to make it better when we get an opportunity to make it better, and everything else. I just those who outright say, "Well, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that." I said, "Dude, you're not helping us," because like I say, everybody wants to blame DJI for this remote ID. I said, it's not DJI. This is the FAA. This is something us people here in the United States are going to have to deal with, until we come up with something better. This is what they've done. And like I said, this, remote ID has been on the books since I think around 2013, 2014. It's been on the books. And now it's come, the reality of it is finally come to fruition. And that's all it is.
Here's the long and the short of it. I don't have a problem with it. I have a
Mm-hmm.
problem with the lifetime. I have a problem with the people other than law enforcement getting access to it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I mean, you're gonna have some idiot neighbor that doesn't like what you're doing. She's gonna come over and sit there and fight with you or whatever. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But remote ID makes 110% sense if they used it in the proper fashion.
Right.
Will they?
That's what I'm saying. And that's what we hope we do. Like I said, I don't mind local law enforcement or people of that level having the information to be able to track whatever they need to do. But like you said, I don't need little Sally next door, Johnny down the street trying to get my business or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, it's nothing they need to be involved with in the first place.
Right.
So I guess, like I said, it's not a perfect system, but I don't think there's going to be much interaction unless you just have a ongoing issue with a neighbor who just finds an excuse to find out, to get under your skin. I just don't think there's going to be a bunch of random people sitting on their phones or whatever case, however they're going to be able to track this stuff and just waiting for somebody to fly.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're like me, okay, so I sit here. What do I do 90% of the time? I'm not doing it commercially. I'm doing it for my fun. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll go to the lake or I'll go to wherever and I'll do yada yada yada. You get one idiot that decides that they want to be your policeman. It could get ugly.
Yeah. This will welcome in Drone Deer Recovery. Thank you for joining the show. We talked about you a little earlier, about 20, 30 minutes ago, so you missed your spotlight. But we're glad you made it in. Interesting video on the M30T, sir. And I hope that repair came out okay and stuff. But interesting. But yeah, it's always like I say, we'll see how it happens. We'll actually come next year. I'm sure there's going to be some incidents between September and December of next year of somebody's going to say something happened. And like I say, and I hope somebody gets it on video because I hate for somebody to say something happened and nothing occurred. The last thing we need is false reports. Somebody said, "Oh, I got beat up by 12 guys who tracked my drone."
I mean, when it comes down to that, I mean, for me, I don't think that's going to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
I think
Oh,
it's
Lord have mercy.
more of an issue with the neighbor that's an idiot, or
Yeah.
the soccer mom that thinks that
Right.
you're doing her wrong, or
Mm-hmm.
it that's where it goes.
Yeah. Adrian, got a special guest in the chat.
Which is, hold on. How you doing, Newfound Drone?
Well,
Production, is
Newfound
that him?
Drone. He's a special guest too. But this guy, we just talked about him a little while ago.
Wait a minute. No shit, really?
Yeah.
Mr. Drone Day Recovery. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for popping in, buddy.
Yeah.
Really appreciate the love and support. Yeah, man. We were actually talking about your video. I actually went ahead and commented on his video, and I wasn't expecting him to actually reply back.
Oh, okay.
And actually popped in. Hey, man, thank you for popping in, sir. Sorry, but I was actually taking care of my little daughter a little while ago. How you doing, Charles Goluski? Thank you for popping in. Hey, brother John, dear recovery, if you actually have a minute and you would like to pop in and talk to us for a few about that issue that you have with your drone, I really appreciate that if you can. I'll be more than happy to pop the link into the chat. Let me say hi to Mr. God Bless America, Mr. Mark. All right, thank you for popping in. I really appreciate the love and support. I did not even, I didn't see that coming, Dre.
Yeah, he popped in, and I was like, "Oh, cool." Yeah, that'd be nice if he decides to pop in and give us a quick synopsis firsthand.
Is he coming in, or what's he doing?
You gonna send him an invite?
Let me see. Boom. I'm gonna put a link there in the chat, and if he wants to pop on in, the link is in the chat. Just go ahead and click on it. It will bring you right through, and then we could chat about the incident you have with the drone. Let me see if he actually replied to the comment. No, he actually hit like on the comment. He did not reply yet. So
okay. Well, hopefully he stayed in the chat long enough, and see if he'll come on in or not. Well, we can continue. Yeah. I can say this is going to be I would say the next 18 months. I would say starting when to start a remote ID, the 18 months period, I would say would be a big testing phase for it to see how it's going to work out. Like I say, like anything else that comes out brand new, we got to see, shake the bugs out of it, see how it works, and hopefully we can refine it.
Well, when it comes down to it, I don't think that they're trying to do people harm. Okay,
Right.
They're trying to do what makes sense. The problem is for people that live in urban areas, and what I mean by urban is Southern California. I mean,
Right.
I've been out there, Dro.
Right.
It's not the melting pot; it's the melted pot. I mean, it's urban sprawl. Yeah. The first time I flew into LAX, I'm sitting there going, "Oh my God!" It's just like never stops. You know what I mean?
It's like one humongous city.
Right. And one thing I will tell you folks out there is civil engineering that they did years ago made sense because those people knew what they were doing. You come up here to the Northeast, there is zero civil engineering where I live. I mean,
Wow.
highways make no sense. Drainage makes no sense. I mean, we have a lot more going on, but it's like they should take cues from what you folks did out there. That being said, they just went crazy. I mean, it's like anthrax. It spreads out there. I don't know, but
that's my specialty in construction is erosion control. And so a couple of times I have traveled back east since I got into this field. My mouth about falls open when I see things that occur, and I'm like, what? Who was thinking that? How they? My thing is, how they still allow this to happen?
No, it happens, then it reacts, and that's the way it always happens, and it'll never change here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I give kudos to you guys down there that are, actually planning forward, because
Yeah.
there's none of that went on here. Where I live in the metropolitan areas, there's a 2-lane highway. When you get
Mhm.
out of those areas, it's 4.
Mm.
Okay, so for the crazy part of the 2 cities that we live in is
Mhm.
2-lane highway. It's like, are you for real?
Yeah.
But that's how it goes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, is that they do the same thing out here to a certain extent. They'll put in a 2 or 3 lane highway, and I said, why not just put the 4th lane in? Because I guarantee within 10, 15 years you're gonna be out here widening the freeway again. Guaranteed every time.
Mm.
They're widen it, and there's always a problem because you get to the bridges. It's a like, okay, how are we gonna make this bridge wider? We only got limited space.
Hey, Jack, what state are you in?
Pennsylvania.
He's in
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So are you close to Philly Drone Live by any chance?
About 2 hours north of them.
2 hours.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's something else. And to me, I know it comes down to budgetary items a lot of times. But my thing is, when you guys had this on the drawing board, I'm sure somebody said, "Let's do this because this is the way it should be done." And then somebody says, "Well, we don't want to spend that much money right now."
Right.
And then we'll
But
come
what are you
we'll
going to
come back
spend
to it later.
four times as much 20
Right.
years down the road?
And that's what I'm saying.
Idiots.
You
They're
guys do
idiots.
every time. I said, you guys spend the money up front now to get it out the way because you're gonna spend 10 times more money down the road.
Right.
Because like I always tell people, I said the price of construction never goes down. It always goes up. Never goes down. Goes up. So it is what it is.
True.
It's crazy stuff. But yeah, I flew down to Georgia about I think it was around 2017, no 2019. I flew down to Georgia, and I'm down there because my mother's sister had an accident at the house, and she was in the hospital and so forth. So I took my mother down there to visit her. And I'm driving around some of these construction sites, and like I said, I'm just floored. They're still using hay bales as water control or erosion control devices. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, I remember reading about this in class.
Thank you, William.
And I'm thinking like, yeah, that's probably 20, 30, 40 years ago. And I'm actually seeing it in action, 2019. They got hay bales out there for erosion control effect. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
The thing that scares me is we're talking 20, 30 years ago.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm getting older now. You know what I mean? Because I remember, I remember things from when I was in college. Like, I'm sitting there going, my son's in college.
Mhm.
I remember it like it was yesterday, and I'm sitting there going, it's 30 years later. What the hell's going on here? But
Mhm. Yeah. Yep, and just like I know there's East Coast cities who still use sewage and drainage using the same lines, which is a big no-no out here. But you have East Coast cities and areas that still use same lines for your rainwater and your sewage.
Okay, so here we'll talk about that. So where we live, they tried hitting us with the rain tax. So any square footage that you have on your property, they want to tax you for if it's non-permeable. Okay. Oh yeah, that's what they're doing here now.
Wow.
Okay, so we're 200 miles north of Chesapeake Bay, but they want us to pay to clean up the Chesapeake Bay. Okay,
Right.
but the people that are upstream from us in New York are dumping their sewage in our river. So where are we going?
Right.
Good night, Brent Nutley. Thank you for popping in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always the nonsense, dude. That's the part that just drives folks crazy because, like you said, the ones who are the big contributors, you're not doing anything to them. Because like I say, they want to make sure they keep the businesses happy and turn a blind eye to what they do and everything. And I always tell people, because I always tell people my authority comes from the Clean Water Act back in 1972. That's why when I was inspector, that was my authority came out of that federal regulation. And I tell people the reason why that federal regulation came to be is because of the fire they had in Ohio where the river caught fire. And people say, what? I said, yeah, the river actually caught fire because of all the chemicals that they were letting the plants dump into the Ohio River, and it caught fire. And it took them 2 weeks to put the fire out. Now, listen to this, Adrian. The water's on fire.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're like, and that's how we got the Clean Water Act here in the United States in 1972. It's because of fire in Ohio where the river actually caught fire.
Well, it's funny because you and I are probably close in age. I don't. What are you? How old are you, Dre?
61 come next Thursday.
Oh, okay. So you got a couple years on me, but
yeah.
I mean, I can remember when we were kids. They said, "Oh, the rivers are filthy. The rivers are filthy." You know what I mean? Because they were.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But
yep.
I guess over time it's changed.
Yeah. Now, Mark White, now he's over in England. He says we always use combined sewers, but I'm moving more towards separate. And so that's what I say out here in the West. It's you can't combine rainwater and sewer water together. It's got to be separate. That's why we're so big about finding companies. We find individuals and stuff. Some cities don't even allow you to wash your car in the street and stuff because they don't want the chemicals off the vehicle, the soap and stuff, to go into the storm drain down the street, which eventually makes its way to watersheds or rivers and all that kind of stuff. That's how strict they are out here about water.
Well, I mean, and I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, we talk to people and they say, "Oh, well, kids have all these autism spectrums and every crazy thing that's going on anymore." And I say, "Well, take a walk through Dollar General or CVS or any of those and see how many chemicals are laying on the shelf. They all went. They're all on the water table. You know what I mean? So I think we need to sit down and really look at what we're doing. You know what I mean? And look at what's sold.
Now, Jack and Jay, what about pharmaceuticals? Don't they also
that also? I mean, that's also winding up in the water table. I mean, and they're producing them like chiclets. You know what I mean? So they're handing, number one, they handed out opioids like chiclets. We see where that went. You know what I mean? But all the other type of medications that are, pharmaceutical or non-pharmaceutical grade, it all winds up in the water table. It's crazy.
And let's not forget about what Lon also said, because in California, unfortunately, a lot of people do that crap. Everywhere in the U.S., there's a lot of people.
That's probably believe it or not, Londonard, that's probably less harmful than the freaking chemicals and the freaking drugs that are going into it.
Yeah.
Unless it goes through that person.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to share a picture here of what's mandated in California on any. I think it's even less than an acre now on all commercial sites. I'm see this picture come up real quick. I don't know why this didn't pop right up.
You remember how to do the screen share, Trey?
Yeah. I just going to switch it over now. Here we go. Okay, let me see here. Share screen. Okay. All right. See that right there? That is a chamber system. Okay, this is one of the things I used to inspect all the time. And basically all the water that comes down that site has to go into this system right here. Okay. And all it does is it filters the water through these big chambers right here, goes down into gravel that's underneath it, and then goes into the water table afterwards. But we don't want any water to leave your site. This is a gas station right here. This is a picture of a gas station being built. And I had to come out and inspect this infiltration system and stuff. And this is what the big thing is in California is nothing will be built unless you got one of these systems underground to catch all your rainwater that hits your impervious areas on your site.
So what happens with that, Dre? I mean,
It goes into the water table.
yeah, but let's say, okay, I'm sitting there pumping my gas into my car.
Mhm.
I blow
Right.
94 all over the lot.
Right.
That's gonna catch that,
Like I
and
say, it's gonna actually. You have two systems on a gas station. You have one that's supposed to be there to catch uh, any spilt gas. Okay,
okay,
which it doesn't. But then you have any other. You'll have other drains on a gas station that all supposed to be tied to a system like this, and they're supposed to actually, like I say, it goes to each chamber. The water goes to each one of these chambers, and then there's gravel, what we call Class 2 base gravel underneath it. It soaks through that. That's probably about maybe 3 feet of gravel. It'll soak through that, then through the black fabric that's on the edges there, the
mm-hmm.
black fabric, and that's supposed to go to all the kind of filtration system before it goes into the ground and comes part of the groundwater.
So it slows it down.
It slows it down, and through the rocks and the filter, it's supposed to break down the chemicals. So, in other words, it's still going to be polluted, but not as polluted.
Okay.
That's
So
all what it is.
so ultimately, if you own a property where they take one of these things out, what do you have to do? Dig that freaking thing out, send it out to get burned, and then put another one in before you build another property, or?
Yep. Just like back in the old septic tank things here in California. If your septic system fails, you can't put another one in.
Okay.
You have to tie into if there's a line within, I think in mandatory law, if it's a line within 300 feet, you have to tie into the city's line. Because most often they will not let you put another septic system in unless it's last chance. You know, and I've had to shut down duplexes, apartment complexes, old ones that still have a septic system. I said, nope, move everybody out. The owners got to pay for hotel costs until you guys get this thing squared away and stuff. They are super strict about septic systems and keeping rainwater on site. They don't want it going out into the streets and get into the catch basins, all that kind of stuff.
See, I don't agree with that with rainwater. I mean,
Yeah.
rainwater is rainwater. That's insanity, and that's what they're trying to do here. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you own X amount of square feet, we're going to charge you. If you own farmland, we're going to charge you. Stupid.
Yeah.
Absolutely stupid. Shit runs downhill, and so does water. You know.
You're 100% right on that one.
But you know, as long as you could try to contain your shit, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't contain the water, and that's what they're trying to charge people for, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing we always run into, you go to these properties, because like I said, we used to do the we call the QMP inspections, which is basically quality management program. And we go in there, we check to see if they're keeping the storm drains cleaned out. Are they changing the filters on the drain inlets cleaned out? And 9 times out of 10, they don't do it. They don't do it. No maintenance program. So this is why we stick to these programs here. And I still go out and do these QMPs and on these properties. I don't do it anymore, but I used to, especially these big warehouses, these Amazons and other places and stuff. And then you run
but that's commercial.
Yeah, okay. That's most what I do. I deal with commercial mainly.
Okay, yeah. So commercial properties, they need to deal with it.
Right.
To hit the average Joe and tell them, you know what, we're going to fine you for every drop of water that falls on your property, it's insanity.
Yeah. You know? Here, all the houses have to have what we call it's a QMP protocol. But basically, the yards are never this flat. There's always, a little swell.
There's got
to be a swell somewhere. So, in other words, the property would drain off. The property will always drain off, so to speak. And that's always a issue. Because what happens is people buy a house or whatever in a tract or whatever, and they do home improvements. And they don't realize when they fill in these things, because they're trying to maybe add a room or do something else, put up a block wall.
Right. We're gonna put a pool in. We're gonna make a thing around the pool. Right.
And they don't realize you just disturb your natural flood control system on your property.
Sure.
And they sort of looking like, what? I'm like, yeah, you have to redig some type of swell around your property to keep the rain, because we don't want to come here and make sure you're not being swimming around your own water, you know, 'cause everything's draining towards the house now. We want it to drain away from the house. Yeah, it's something else. I could tell you some stories, man, and people just lose their minds and everything. And I say,
Oh,
hey,
I'm sure. I'm sure.
yeah,
Unfortunately, out there, I mean, I know what the real estate pricing
yeah,
is. I mean,
oh
it's yeah, I'd lose my mind too. I'd be
yeah,
losing my mind real bad.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, Mark White said, I guess it's similar here. Surface water is not allowed to run off on unadopted hard surfaces until adopted hard surfaces. There has been a drain. Like, yep, that exactly it. Yep. They want you to retain all your water on site and stuff. So I used to go into all these places and you know, check how they store their chemicals, if they're storing them outside, storing them inside, everything down to forklift areas, dude.
see,
I used to,
here, if you retain all your water on site, they fine you
mm,
for making a mosquito trap.
mm, yeah.
You can't do that because all it is bug laden. You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, mosquito, larvae, all that kind of stuff. And that's why I say about make sure they keep everything cleaned out. Like I say, for those chambers, they're supposed to work basically almost like I'm trying to compare something else. Basically like a septic system. Every 7-10 years, you're supposed to get it cleaned out of all your sediment that would build up.
Now, what do they do with the sediment?
Oh, that's considered a waste. So you got to take it to a specialized place to get it disposed of.
Hey,
Yeah, but how do they dispose of it?
Oh, they go through the dewatering system.
hey, brother Dre, give me 1 second. Hey, I hear my princess crying, acting a fool. I think she's ready to go to sleep. You want to keep going a little bit because I'm going to bounce out, or you want to go and call it a night?
No, we'll go. It's 8:05, man. We're gonna call it a night. But I say Jack and I we could probably talk all night long about these rain systems.
If you want to stay a little longer, let me know. But
No, like I said,
the little one is going crazy.
No, we're
no,
good, Adrian.
I don't want to. We're not talking about drones, so I don't want to bore anybody else and stuff, and
All
everything.
right.
So like I said, we can call it a night, and I say, just tell everybody to stand by for next Saturday, because we may or may not be here. And if we're not, you got New Year's the following week. So whatever you decide this weekend is going to be the same for next weekend.
Definitely. Well, Dre, thank you for opening the show. I was busy with the little one.
Yeah.
Jack, thank you for popping in. Everybody in the chat, I really appreciate it. Any closing thoughts for you, Dre?
Not much, man. Hey, it's the holiday season. I tell folks to, as always, be safe. Don't drink and drive. Don't let your family drink and drive. Don't let your friends drink and drive. Sometimes it's not always the person who drinks has the problem. It's who they hit has the problem.
Yep. Amen to that. What about yourself, Jack? Anything you want to say, sir?
No, I enjoy being on with you fellas. Sounds like you got your hands full.
Yeah. She actually started.
God bless you and have fun.
Yeah, she woke up and she acting a fool. Again, thank you for popping in, Jack. Pleasure having you here. So everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. Have a good evening. I'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Take care.
See you, fellas.
Yep.